All right, boys and girls, welcome once again to the Bass Kayak and Beers podcast on the Paddle and Fin Network. Got a great episode for you today. My good buddy Dan Perry, who's been doing the co-host thing with me, is out in a tournament for KFL, so he's not going to be joining me today for this recording. I got my other good buddy, Jake Harshman. And Jake, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing good. How are you?
Congratulations, first of all, on your big, not win, but kind of like a win in the sense that you got to the TOC, but your third place finish, we got you into the TOC at the Hobie BOS in the Susky, man. How was it?
Man, it was just, man, it was a lot of fun. Like, caught a lot of fish, caught a lot of big fish. I think each day I had 3 19-inch fish that were, really key. It was a good time, really good tournament. I think a lot of people caught fish. And, anytime where it takes 187 and a half inches to win, you got to be doing something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was a really good tournament. I was excited for it. Hopefully it comes back next year too.
Oh, I'm sure it will. Why would they take it away? That'll be dumb. But then again, that's AJ's decision, and there's a lot that goes into it. But again, congratulations, man. You feel excited going back to the TOC?
Man, I'm looking forward to that. The last time I fished Caddo Lake was with the KBF National Championship, and oh my goodness, Caddo's got some giant fish in it.
Yeah.
Just absolute monster, freak nasty largemouth. I think it's going to be a really good tournament down there.
Yeah, should be.
Hopefully the Gators are like going deep or something. And I don't know when Gator hunting season is, but I'm hoping that they're not around because I know when we went there in March a few years ago, there was a lot of gators and a lot of snakes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Caddo and big gators over there too. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. That was, I think, the most exciting tournament I saw last year. It was just watching Guillermo and Cody Milton just like duke it out. Each one put 100 inches every day, or at least on average.
Yeah, back and forth, just going at it. Those guys, and they're really good. Both of those guys are really good fishermen. But for a lake to hold up, and I know they weren't only fishing Caddo, but for bodies of water down there to hold that kind of caliber fish for 2-3 days in a row, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I think the TOC is going to be something special though, for real. I mean, it's going to be a good time.
It definitely will. It definitely will. You're going to see a lot of highlight reels of people hooking into big bass. But anyways, kind of give you an update to my audience. I know I've been telling you I haven't been opening a beer on my segment, which I traditionally do. I'm trying to lose weight. I'm entering my third week on my diet. I've lost 11 pounds. So again, hold the applause. I got another 15 pounds to go, at least somewhere, 12, 15 pounds. I'm at 203. When I started, it was 212. So I got one new shirt. I got one old shirt that now fits me, wouldn't fit me before. So I'm happy about that.
When I give you an applause, I got a little bat wing that goes here on my arm. So maybe I need to jump in on that too and try to lose some weight with you.
I've been craving a beer for the last 2.5 weeks, man. I'm not gonna lie. I'm dying to crack open another beer. But anyways, the reason why we're here today is because we have William Benini. He is tournament director, right? We call him Bill, by the way. So don't get confused. I introduced him with William Benini because that's his name, but we call him Bill. So please don't be confused if you're listening on the podcast and not watching us on YouTube or Facebook. But anyways, he is the tournament director for a new tournament. I think it's sponsored by Native. And it kind of seems like an MLF style tournament, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I understood it. So, Native is obviously the driver behind it. And they're going to come out with a slightly different format. And I think the big draw, well, it's not slightly, you're still catching the fish and there's really no limit, but I think the big draw is that Big Bass Power Hour.
Yeah.
And, Bill will be able to talk more about that, but I think it's, if we get over 100 anglers, I think it's, don't quote me, but I think it's $1,000 an hour.
Yeah, I
if
think
it's
I read
over
that.
100 anglers, and that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you win a couple hours, you win 3 hours, 3 big fish, and you basically won what I won at the Hobie. Not to mention where you finish, if you're catching big fish like that in those kinds of numbers, I would assume you're going to finish pretty well overall. I don't know. And the time of year, man, I can talk more about that once, Bill explains it. But, dude, that time of year here on the Susquehanna, oh, my God. If you thought the numbers for the Hobie event were high, if you thought 187 inches for 2 days was high, wait until you see October on the Susquehanna.
Yeah.
When we have tournaments in October, we normally call it Hogtober. You'll catch 4.5 pound, 18-inch fish, smallmouth bass, just fat. And there's a lot of 18s and 19s here in this river, but man, they eat and eat.
They're getting ready for hibernation pretty much, right?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, they got to, we got a long, harsh winter up here. So they have to, build up those fat reserves for the winter so they can make it. And in October, that's what they do. Like they build up fat reserves.
Yeah. And I call it hibernation, lack of vocabulary on my part, but you get what I'm saying. They're fattening up for winter.
Yeah.
But
they definitely are. So
definitely. Well, before we bring William to the show, once again, thank you to Douglas Outdoors. They're the sponsor for my podcast. Go to douglasoutdoors.com. Check out the full lineup of LRS, X Matrix, and fly fishing rods. We're gonna go to a quick Waypoints commercial, and it'll be joining us by William. Mr. William Benini, how you doing today, sir?
I am great. How are you, Armando?
Man, pleasure to have you on the podcast, and Jake, co-host as well. We got a lot to dive into. First of all, before we get into the tournament that you're directing, tell us a little bit about you, Bill. What got you into kayak fishing, and what got you into doing the whole getting into this mess of being a tournament director?
Well, that's a good story, and Jake will get a good laugh. He's heard it before. I come from the big boat scene, and we had our first son, and it was time to sell, and we just weren't getting out. And I bought my first kayak from TJ Maxx, of all places. It's a discount clothing. I swear to you, it's a discount clothing store.
Really?
I bought it there. It was an 8-foot sit-in. I actually still have it. I won't get rid of it. It's got a special place in my heart. But I jumped into it because I wanted to get back out in the water. My dad went and bought a Sun Dolphin, and we just wanted to get out and do it again. Fast forward a couple of years, I bought my first native. I went down, hung out with the guys at Delaware Paddle Sports, and I started fishing tournaments. I mean, I think everyone kind of goes through that natural progression, if that makes sense. And I started fishing tournaments, and that's probably why me and Jake get along. I'm relatively vocal about when I think things might or could be a little bit better. And I was called upon I had said that some things with our trail could get a little bit better locally, and it was a great trail. I just knew that we could do something better with the sponsors and some stuff like that. And so when the trail flipped hands, one of the guys called me and tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, well, you've spent a lot of time talking. Now it's time to spend time doing. So we rebuilt our local trail here and have almost tripled it in size. And that's how I ended up in a TD seat. And then this whole native thing has just blown this local mid-Atlantic trail that I run out of the water, and now I'm helping people like Vinny not run Queen City, but I do a little judging for Vinny and spend some time talking to him, and it's opened so many doors. It's been awesome.
I gotta interrupt him real quick because he's being a little bit modest.
Oh yeah,
right, yeah. So Delaware Paddle Sports Kayak Bass Fishing Series is the tournament series that Bill is a part of the leadership team. And not only has it grown, tripled in size, but even having maybe slightly less numbers than some other local tournament scenes, they're still paying out far more. And a lot of that is because of things like what Bill did with sponsors. There's no more paying into a big bass pot. The big bass pot is donated by a sponsor. I think it's what, $200 every time for big bass, and you never pay into it. All of your, I mean, I don't know all, but I don't know exactly what percentage, but it seems like all of your entry fees go directly back to payouts. They structure the payouts in a intelligent, reasonable format. So, you know, it feels like you actually have a chance for fishing for something, even if you're fishing for third place. Like, you know, it's what they're doing up here is honestly, it's a blueprint. And a lot of people should take notice. So don't let this man be modest with you. They are absolutely killing the scene here in this area, and there's no other trails that are doing it like they're doing it. And I think it's going to be, like I said, I think it's going to be the blueprint moving forward. So don't
Well, I
let it.
appreciate that, Jake.
So it seems like you're the perfect candidate to run a national trail, and you know that's we've seen it across the now 4 with the All-American Bass Kayak Series. You know, with mixed results, some of them seem to be striving, other ones seem to be struggling, others seem to be up and coming, even though they're brand new to the tournament scene nationally. Tell us about this native tournament. You know, I know there's a lot of questions, but I'll let you start off, you know, talking about how the idea came together and what is the whole concept of this tournament that's different from other tournaments.
Yeah. So let me take you back a couple years. I believe, and someone's going to correct me, I'm sure, but I believe the birth of this idea started at ICAST 2020 or 2021. And so one of the people on the team with Native, Chris Cantwell, had this idea. He had run it by a couple people. They all went to dinner one night. I unfortunately wasn't at ICAST that time, but they run the idea by the head honchos, and they're like, "We love it." So I get a random message one night, and it's me, Vinny, Marv, Goda, Forte, like some of the premier directors across the country. And they're like, "Hey, do you guys want to get on a call and kind of talk about an idea?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. What's up? You know, I'd love to." And when they laid it out in front of us, Armando was like, "Oh, this is wild. You're going to pay $1,000 for a big fish." Like it was just a cool concept. It was something different than we had
per
seen.
hour. Not just $1,000, but $1,000 per hour.
How many hours though? Let me ask you that.
8 hours.
So
8 hours.
8 hours. So $8,000 right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So then we turn around and then we start talking entry fees. And so initially, and if anyone's been a TD, they know when you start looking at that kind of money, you're looking for high entry fees. And we all start talking, and the next thing I know, we settle in on $100. Really? And the design for that was let everyone come participate. Let everyone have the opportunity to come in and put $1,000 in and 10x their money, a little Grant Cardone reference, but come in and really take it home. And so then I can't even remember when it was, but it was late one night, we're all on, and someone comes up with the idea, well, what about doing an MLF format along with it? And I about fell out of my chair because I knew my heart was in the Susquehanna, and I was like, oh my God, that's going to be wild. I don't know if this is good or bad. But then we started talking about the MLF format because no one else had done it. A couple other clubs have played in that space, but no one else was going to do it. And we're like, absolutely. And then we get the core concept together, all 5 of us, or I should say 6. There's a hidden guy behind the scenes who doesn't get enough attention. His name is Jason Zulily. But we all put the stuff to paper and we send it over to the chief. And his name's Tyler. And he looks at it and he was like, rock on, let's do it. A lot of people don't realize we piloted this in December with Queen City. So Queen City threw it out there to see what would happen and see what their feedback was. And so if you go back, you can see it on Vinny's Facebook page. All of us are hidden because he ran as a word ceremony on Zoom. We're all hidden in the background watching. And anglers just loved the idea. Because if you want to go out and swing the big stick and fish for $1,000 an hour, you can. Or if your sweet spot's throwing a Ned rig or a Senko or something that's just going to catch the numbers, you can do that too. Then Native jumps in and says, how about we do this? How about I give you 3 kayaks to give away while you're hosting the event? We're like, oh, say no more. So initially, this event in the Northeast, the idea was going to be the Upper Chesapeake. And then I got to talking to Jake about it. And Jake, you know where Jake's heart lies.
Oh yeah.
You know where it's at. And so I said, Jake, if I do it in the tail half, I'll be the last guy to run. What do you think? He's like, I think you'll set records with the amount of fish that are caught. And I think guys are going to catch multiple big fish. One guy's not going to run away with it. It's going to be a truly awesome event. I said, say no more. Let's do it. So then we took it from there. We went and picked up some powerhouse sponsors like Bending Branches, Dakota Lithium, and a whole bunch more. And here's where we are. We've run 4 events so far. We're the last one to run. We'll run October 8th on the Susquehanna. And we're waiting to see how the anglers respond. So far, it's been overwhelmingly positive.
What has been kind of like your average right now, roughly, for attendance?
If you factor in all of it, somewhere around 110, 120.
That, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, because you have Queen City in there. Queen City is a monster powerhouse by itself. And I think Vinny did 150, 160 in his actual event. But Cali, who normally struggles for numbers, delivered over 100 anglers.
Really?
Yep. We were right on the cusp of 100. I think we settled in at 75 in Washington State. So we had one in Potholes Reservoir with Marvin Forte.
Yeah.
And then we did one in Michigan. And I think he was right under 100. I think he was in the 90s. So I would say our average is 110, 120 right now. And that's just because we're brand new, in my opinion. We haven't gotten it out there all the way.
I mean, when you look at that and you look at some of the other major clubs, these national level clubs, nobody was really starting with those kinds of numbers. The only people that really started with numbers like that, well, I'm not going to mention who they were, but they started and then they declined.
Yeah.
And, it's like this club is starting at a very solid number. And I shouldn't say club, but this entity is starting at a very solid number. In the format, it leaves everybody has a chance. You don't even have to be a high quality fisherman to come out to the Susquehanna River and catch a 19 or 20 inch fish. It'll happen if you cast enough. So it's one of those things, like anybody can come out here and just get it. Like there's money to be gotten.
And go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, their format it's phenomenal because I feel bad. Honestly, I feel bad for the judges. And when Bill was like, "Oh yeah, it's a 14-inch minimum," I'm like, "No, bro. Like, no, it's not. Don't do a 14-inch minimum, or your judges aren't going to have time to think. Like a 14-inch minimum on a Susquehanna? No, you got to make that like a 16-inch." And he's like, "No, we got to stay standard." And I'm like, I think that's the only time Bill and I have butted heads on this whole concept. Is I'm like, and I'm forceful, like I'm violent with the way I talk to people, especially my friends. My dog had to chime in.
He has a little bit of you in him.
A little bit, but yeah, I mean, I think that's the only thing that Bill and I actually, disagreed on. Bruno, knock it off.
And I get it from William, from your standpoint. There's consistency on what's the word I'm looking for? It's not continuing. I forgot the word. But anyways,
what happened to Bill?
It probably lost it. But while we get Bill back on, consistency is key. So I get it. You don't want to go. I hate to say it, but you kind of don't want to go the KBF route where there seems like there's changes in rules all the time. So I get Bill's stance on that. What impresses me about the two things stand out. First of all, to get over 100 anglers on a national trail in California, Hobie BOS can't even come close to that. KBF can't close to that.
Yeah,
Bass Nation Kayak Series, the national trail, can't come close to that. And just like that on their first year, is this the first year?
Yes, it is. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it, some of it might have to do with the fact that it's new, but I think the other aspect of it is that it, it's a cool format that gives, you don't like when you go to these national tournaments, right? You can almost kind of pick a handful of people and say, okay, somebody from this handful of people is going to win this tournament, right? You take history and you take skill level and who's on a hot streak and who's not, and you can almost guess who's going to be in that top 10%. The greatest thing about this native event, anybody could come out here and win $1,000. Anybody could come out here and win, the overall. Like, you could get a guy that does nothing but catch 15-inch fish all day, and he could win $1,000 if he catches enough of them. So, I think that's the buzz surrounding it, is that it's anybody's ball game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
the other thing that stood out to me is that when I look at the schedule, other than the Susquehanna River, these are all lakes that, unless you live in that state or probably even like close to that fishery, you might not have ever heard of that fishery. I think the one in California is a little bit more popular. But like the ones that I saw, I was like, yeah, I've never even heard of this lake. So I was kind of impressed the way you like pulled these numbers on lakes that usually locals would only go to, like maybe not a national trail angler would do it. The other thing that impresses me, this is really without the backup of the typical quote unquote national anglers, PKA, whatever you want to call it, the guys and girls that actually fish those three major tournaments. They're not fishing this. This is their first year, and I can understand why. I don't think anybody's snobbing it on purpose. They're just like, well, wait a minute, I got this already lined up with my sponsors and my goals. Until I see what this native tournament is, I'm not gonna, take, substitute the Hobie BOS that they got on their schedule and everything. I'm assuming that's gonna change next year. I'm assuming there are going to be people that are going to say, you know what, there's a fifth national tour right now, and that may be good enough for me to drop one of my national trails. What do you think, Bill? I got to get Bill in here before he drops off again.
I don't know. I don't know. And the cool thing about this is Native is allowing the local club for the tournament director to be the host club, right? And so, like, the Susquehanna is going to be hosted by the Delaware Paddlesports Kayak Bass Fishing Series. Vinny's event down in the Carolinas was hosted by Queen City. The one up in Michigan was the Big Bass and the Michigan Kayak Series. So, we would love to see those anglers. Absolutely. It was built for everybody, with the $100 entry fee. The whole concept of this series was anyone could come out. It wasn't, and look, entry fees are entry fee, but at $100, we just felt it was the sweet spot. And so it would give everyone an opportunity. Do we hope that we'll see some of those anglers over the next couple seasons? Sure. Absolutely, we'd love to host them because it's just a different event, and I think everyone will find some terminology, swinging the big stick or going out and catching as many fish as humanly possible. But at the end of the day, Armando, we're driving forward because we just want everybody to fish.
I think money talks.
Yeah.
Right. Money talks. Right. So if you want to get big names, if you want to have. And when I say big names, we all know who we're talking about. But if you want these people, they're going to see it. As soon as someone starts holding up $1,000 checks, like, oh, hey, I went out and fished a native event on the Susquehanna and I won big bass for 3 of the hours that I was out there, and I took third place overall. And I don't know, what do I walk away with there, Bill? Like $3,500, maybe $4,000 almost. Like, who knows, right? Like or I went out, won $3,000 and a kayak. Like, money talks, and I think they got the right recipe. I really do. I feel bad for the judges. I still, whoever's judging that tournament, I'm going to send them a fruit basket or something, because they're going to need all of the recovery and energy that they, you can possibly imagine, because they are going to be busy.
Bill, I think he froze there. Can you hear us, Bill? Bill, Bill, if you can hear us, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove you and try to log back in, but do it without the. I don't think you have enough signal, so just do it with the audio. Don't worry about the video. Just connect the audio, and let's not worry about the camera because I don't think you're going to have enough bandwidth to keep up. So let me put you back in. Try to come back in. There we go. So yeah, apologize to the listeners about that. I know, and again, thank you for Bill for taking time to come up. I know he's busy and he's with the family on vacation, so I do appreciate taking time for this. I know technology is not always what we wanted on the podcast, but nevertheless, big thank you to Bill for joining us, and we'll try to get him back in. But let me ask you this, Jake, while we're at it. How far as a tournament angler who's fished many national trails, how big do you think this native tournament can be?
Can be?
Do you think do you think it has the potential to be bigger than the Hobie BOS right now?
I don't know, right? And here's why I don't know, because Hobie is already so well established, and they're talking about paying tens of thousands of dollars at all their tournaments, and they could definitely rival the Hobie BOS, but it's a different format. And I think that if the intentions are in fact to keep the entry fees low, I think it's a viable national option, but I don't think that it unless they raise entry fees, it's not getting up there into the first place getting $10,000 or paying out 20 spots or how whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? Like it's going to be tough for that. But what's really cool is it's still a viable national option because anybody local can do it. Anybody that wants to travel there can do it, and there's still a significant payout when you're talking about that $1,000 an hour. So they could absolutely rival the Hobie BOS. At this point in time, I want to be realistic. And I mean, how difficult would it be for any trail to be better than the BOS right now? It would be tough.
Yeah.
Like they got a great recipe for what's going on. But I think, just like Bill had said earlier, there's no one's doing this right now, I think if the trails can work together, if Native comes out next year and works with Hobie and Hobie works and they all work together, whether it's Native, Hobie, Hobie BOS, KBF, or Bass, if those heads sit down at a table and say, we're not going to cross each other over, I think they all can be successful.
Yeah.
But
let's see if we got Bill. Bill, can you hear us?
Maybe.
May have a lag.
That Delaware service is pretty bad.
I guess. Well, here's the thing, and I don't mean to while we try to see if we can build back on. I don't. This may be an unpopular opinion. People may not like what I'm about to say, but really, I think right now there's so many trails, right? National trails. There's, if you count the All-American Bass Kayak Series, which I do, that makes it 5. I think there's only one that you really don't want to, double book on the same date, and that's the Hobie BOS. I really don't think Bassmaster Kayak Series right now is a threat to any trail. It's going to pull, 20, 30 anglers from your trail just so they can fish that one. Unless, the location works out, whether it's.
How much of an unpopular opinion can I talk about?
Oh, dude, go wild on this. I don't care.
Here's the thing. BASS is not going to be successful in the kayak space until they put someone in charge of it that actually has a clue of what the hell we do.
Yeah.
Until they do that, they are not going to be successful in the kayak world.
Oh, no.
They might pretend like they are, and they got all the big sponsors and the big money backing, but when you're talking about trails that are viable, that are national options, that are popular, look at the ones right now that are succeeding. You have the All-American Kayak Series that's doing really well out there in their space. You have the Hobie BOS that's doing absolutely phenomenal, and now you have this new series with with Native, and they're doing something really special. But it's all built around a kayak angler who is running it.
You're running the tournament, correct?
And that's the thing.
A seasoned tournament angler and tournament director. William,
Right.
are you there? You gotta get.
Yeah, can you hear me now, Armando?
There we go. We got you. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Man, I'm sorry. I am on a family trip right before school
Yeah,
starts.
I know. We said
I'm running around the campground trying to hold my phone in the air. It's got to be a sight to see for everyone.
I just want to know, hey, Bill. I mean, why is the Verizon service not good where you're at?
Hey, Jake, I appreciate you. I love you like a brother, Jake. Thanks.
What do you do for a living, Bill?
I work for Verizon.
Looks like you fusionized more in the tournament director.
Yeah, it looks like it. Just a little
Armando, come in with the zinger.
No, but Bill, and again, Bill didn't get to hear this, so I'll repeat it. No apologies from your part, Bill. We want to support what you're doing, and it would have been ideal to get all together, but we wanted to bring this show before the Susquehanna event, and this is kind of like the only time we could do it. And you're taking time away from your family on your family trip, so I am super thankful for that. There's really no apologies, man. If anything, we would have to apologize to your family for taking time away from from them to do this podcast. So again, super honored and grateful to you taking the time.
I appreciate that, Armando, and I appreciate you shedding and putting this tournament out there and giving us an opportunity to talk about some of the cool stuff that we're doing.
So, Bill, going back to the tournament, before we lost you, I wanted to ask about the pay structure. So I'm wondering. A lot of people are wondering. First of all, how much money is actually not just first place, but actually going out to anglers? And I know it depends on the attendance, but if you can fill us in, how much money goes back to 50 attendees, 100 attendees, whatever it is.
Well, I got the numbers broke down to 100. So of course we're built all the way out. At 100, we're going to pay out $1,000 to 8 hours of big bass winners. And then, and the math is out there for everyone to see. And it's really simple. Based off that, that's $8,000 out of a $10,000 pot. We have to pay PayPal and Attorney X, of course.
Yeah.
And then we take the rest of the money and pay that out based off the spots that are left. So it pays down. I think at 100 anglers, we're paying down the top 4 anglers in the MLF side of the event.
Okay, so on the bass per hour, it's the only one getting the money is whoever has the biggest bass. There's no, you got the second biggest bass that hour, you get money to just the first place, right?
Nope, just first place.
Okay, and then the top 4, and that is based that is not based on size. That is just based on how many bass you caught. Correct.
Yep. Overall, just like you watched Dustin Connell today whip it up on Cayuga, it's about how many fish you catch over 14 inches in your total length. So we wanted to add that in just so anglers had another option, because not always are you going to go out there and catch the 19s and the 20s. But we've all had those days, even on tournament days, where you go out there and catch 25, 16-inch fish. We wanted to give that angler an opportunity to fight for something also.
And let me ask you this. So on now that we kind of established what the payouts are, do you have an Angler of the Year race as far as this year? And if not, is that coming in the future?
Well, Armando, at this point, we do not. We ran all 5 of these events as separate standalone events. We wanted to see, as you can imagine, when you have sponsors like that, like Native and Big Adventures involved, they want to see an ROI, right? Before they start diving too deep into it. And what I can tell you is we have spiked their interest. They love what we're doing and what we're seeing. So I think anything is up for discussion next year. As of right now, they are all standalone events. Come fish 1, fish 2, fish all. Well, I guess there's only one left at this point in time. The best one, I will say. But right now, they're standalone events.
Jake, you wanted to chime in?
Bill, can I have a question for you. Is the graphic that you guys put out for the Big Bass Power Hour, is it has not changed, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so to Armando, to your question, and I don't think Bill has it right here in front of him, so this is no fault of his. But at 100 anglers, you still have the hourly Big Bass. Every hour is $1,000. They pay out 5 spots for 100 anglers, and that's in succession. You got 400, 240, 140, 120, and 100. At 125 anglers, first place gets 1,000, second place is 750, third place is 600, fourth place is 250, and fifth place is 200. And then you still have your $1,000 hourly Big Bass as well. So, when you're talking about the daily no limit placings, there's still money to be made there. But I think the biggest drive is that, that $1,000 per hour that's possible. Now, I am certain that if we get the push, the Susquehanna could be over 125 anglers. They don't have a graphic out that far. Oh, is this updated?
I don't know if it's updated. This is on the website. So I just, for those that are watching on YouTube and Facebook,
that's even a little bit different than what I had. I would probably go off the website, but at 125 anglers, like, that's easy. We did that the first year that the Hobie BOS came to the Susquehanna. We did 112 or 113 on 3 weeks notice. So, I think all this thing needs is it just needs the drive and the promotion behind it. It's gonna be an awesome event, and there's not a better time of the year to come do this thing here on the Susquehanna River, because it doesn't matter if you're a finesse fisherman, you could be a power fisherman, you could be a big bait fisherman, you could come out here with anything you want and catch them in October. October is good, and I'm excited for it.
And Bill, the 3 kayaks giveaway, that's obviously per tournament, right? So since you don't have an angler viewers, that's going to be per tournament. How does that? Who wins? Who's eligible to win those 3 kayaks? It's not all to one person, obviously, but
so the first kayak will go to the overall Big Bass of the day. The second kayak will go to the winner of the MLF format. And the third kayak will go to any angler that competes in the tournament and submits at least 1 scoreable fish. That's the only requirement. So it'll be done as a random draw.
You know how crazy that is, that you can just wait. What tournament out there gives you a kayak just for Big Bass? Let alone, how many tournaments are you running this year?
5 in total.
5 total. So do math for me, Jake. What's 5 plus 3? What's 25? 25. Is it right? 25?
Dude, I'm a cop. I don't do that.
So here, let me jump in, Armando. Let me,
right?
Yeah, let me jump in. 25 kayaks and I'm going to do rough math because I'm just sitting here trying to think it through my head. Native has put close to $35,000 in retail value of kayaks out for this series.
Oh, and what's the kayaks that are being given out, by the way?
Slayer Max 10, a Falcon, and I think the other one's a Slayer Propel 10.
I don't know any trail, either national or local, that's gonna give you a kayak just for winning Big Bass of the day. Heck, I don't know any that'll just for every tournament that you get every tournament winner gets a kayak for 5 tournaments. That is amazing. How can you not love that, right?
Absolutely. And look, everyone, respect to all the series out there. Everyone runs a good series.
Yep.
We just wanted this one to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
And Armando, I can't stress that enough. And I'm so glad that I'm able to get on here and talk a little bit now. that was what was important, to have an opportunity for everybody to participate. If someone maybe doesn't have the money, and I know I've said that a couple times, we wanted to keep that entry fee low, but make the reward worth it, big, right? And so with an opportunity to win kayaks, I have 3 Dakota lithium batteries that we'll be giving out. I have a $500 Yak Attack gift card we'll be giving out. I have over $500 in product from Ego Fishing, just to name a few. And that's not even all of them that we'll be giving out as random giveaways. So it is a great opportunity for anybody to come, a great opportunity to truly fish your style and enjoy,
Yeah, you can go either ways. You can go for quantity or quality. It doesn't matter. You still get a chance. Heck, like you said, even one scoreable fish might just land you into a kayak. One thing that obviously listeners and people that are just finding out about this, whether this podcast or any other media outlet, I'm sure the question is going to be, how are the fish scored? And I'm pretty sure it's a straightforward answer, but I'll ask them just for those that might be new to the tournament fishing scene. Is this like the regular, catch board? And, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's your pretty standard rule set, right? If anyone has fished an event before, you'll be pretty familiar with the rules. Everything's pretty standard. It is catch board only, right? So it
Yep.
has to be catch. We'll drop the identifier. You can print the identifier now, but we will drop the code just like anyone would the event before or the night before at our captain's meeting. And to put some people to rest, because this is probably the message I get the most, or the question I get asked the most. We have a pretty substantial judging team behind the scenes that's prepared for this event. I know Jay kind of makes the joke, and I see him laugh and I hear it when we talk. He's like, "You better be ready." And I watched Hobie drop over 1,000 fish day one. I can promise every angler that's out there, we have a team that's prepared to go through that. Now, and here's what I'd encourage any angler that has never fished an event before. My number's listed on the tournament page. Call me. Let's talk about it. I'm happy to help everyone. But it's your pretty standard rule set, and we have those rules on the Facebook group where everything's hosted. And it's also posted and linked inside of 20X.
And where can people, other than Turning X and Facebook, I kind of wanted to mention, is there like a web page? Well, I got it on a web page, but I don't know if this is the right one for information. Nativewatercraft.com, Big Bass / prices, Big Bass Power Hour. Any other website that they can get more information? I know there's going to be rules like hand placements and pinching the tail and all that. And we're not gonna go over that right now, because I think it's a responsibility of every angler to find out those rules. So Turning X, Facebook, any other media outlet that they can research, the rules pertaining to, measuring the fish.
No, I would actually, the website's great. Turning X is great. I'd encourage everyone that's considering fishing the event to go to the Facebook page. You can just type in Big Bass Power Hour or Native Big Bass into Facebook. It should pop up for you. That's where you're going to find the most real-time information. That's where you're going to find everything from updates on sponsors and anything that we want to push out to the anglers. We find that to be the best outlet to get that information out.
One question that I've heard before, and I wanted to ask, and this is more pertaining to other tournaments, not yours, but the concept of Big Bass by the hour. If somebody, let's say it's lines out, it's 8:00, right? So 8:00 a.m. and I catch a 24-incher. Jake's at 8:50 catches 23-incher. And it says, Armando already posted a 24. Can I hold that fish and just put it for the 9:00 slot? How does that work?
So we have that built into the rules. It's based off when the picture is taken.
Yeah.
We work directly with Dwayne Wally from Turning X.
Yep, great guy.
And you'll find something pretty unique about our leaderboard. Our leaderboard will give people overall inches. But our leaderboard's not going to break down who's winning the power hours. So it's really of no, if I'm speaking directly to an angler that might be listening to this, it's really of no benefit to stall or wait because you don't know what's out there. I mean, you might know if your buddy across the river has caught a big one, but you don't know what the other 150 anglers have. So the best thing to do is just get that thing submitted and get it up there, and not wait. But that's the best part. That's with working with Dwayne. Anglers aren't going to know who's winning that hour until we get to the end of the event.
So somebody can submit it like at 9:05, but the picture was taken at 8:50. They would still count for the 9 o'clock. But I'm assuming. But now, I guess my question is, once the clock turns 9, and I would just say 9 o'clock just as a number, as a reference point. Let's say you catch a fish at 8:55. You're fumbling to get the picture taken and all that. You take the picture on time, but by the time you submit it, it's 9:02, 9:03. What's the cutoff for somebody that caught a fish, in that 8 to 9 o'clock slot to submit that picture and still be valid? Because at some point you got to cut off, right?
Well, it's going to be all when the picture was taken. It's not going to be when the picture was submitted. So you could take it's whenever you took that picture. If you took that picture at 8 o'clock and submitted it at 2 p.m., it's still going to count towards that 8 o'clock hour.
And I think the better question I should have asked was, when do you announce the winners for the power hour? Is it live or is it at the end of the tournament? That's the question.
It'll be at that's what I was talking about with Dwayne.
Yeah.
It'll be at the end of the tournament. So anglers won't know who's leading the power hour.
Yeah. That's my bad. I should have asked that question a little bit better.
No, and Armando, if you want to talk about probably what we spent the most time as a group, the TDs trying to work through, it was that specific situation, because there's a lot of opportunity to I don't know what word I want to use, but there's a lot of opportunity to try and stall or submit a fish later or that. And we spent hours talking about it. How do you keep it as organic as possible? And that's when you go by picture taken,
That's awesome. Well, and it looks like you've that kind of might, rest at ease at some of them that might have that reservation of like, well, wait a minute, what is, because I've heard that, and not specifically on this tournament, because that was, I think, first time I heard that was last year, and somebody asked the question. I'm like, well, that's a good point. But at that point, this concept wasn't on a national level. I think it was a little some few local trails had it, but nothing at a national level like you guys are bringing. Bill, what do you think could be the future for this? Like for next year, is there are there plans already to bring this next year? And I'm sure it is, but I'll ask.
I will tell you the discussions are happening. That's probably as deep as I can get into it. We'd love, from a tournament director perspective, to see it continue on, and I think everyone that fishes tournaments understands that it has to be an ROI for the companies that are backing it, right? And it's also hard to quantify what directly that is. I can tell you right now with 100% certainty that Native, Big Adventures, all of them together are absolutely over the moon about what's going on and the support that we're seeing from the anglers. Does it continue? Well, to be determined.
And just because of Jake, who's a policeman, what does ROI stand for? I know, but I know Jake.
Return on investment.
Thank you for your service, Jake. I'm just messing with you.
I know.
Jake, you had any more questions for Bill before we?
So I just sent a message to the group, and because I was sitting here doing some math while you guys were talking, 192 anglers, 2 days, Hobie BOS, end of July. A lot of guys had to finesse fish to catch them. This is not prime time feeding. We got to feed up before the winter time gets here. This is we eat when we want to, right? 192 anglers. There were 14 90-plus inch bags in 2 days. And there were 43 85-plus inch bags in 2 days. And that 85-plus inch bag do not include the 90s. Okay? So you're looking at 57 people who put up over 85 inches in 2 days on the Susquehanna River at the non-prime time of year. Finesse fishing even. A lot of these guys had to finesse fish to catch these bags. You can do that in October. I would throw something a little quicker because you're probably going to catch more because they're going to eat more. They're going to be eating more. This tournament is going to be insane at the number of fish that are caught. So there were 1,956 fish caught in 2 days for the Hobie BOS. If we come anywhere close to 125 or more people, that number will probably be broken. And that's with
BOS is 12 inches though.
True. And we're also talking about 70 less people. My point is that at 14-inch minimum, you could see 2,000 fish.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess that's a 2-day total. Yeah. Let me retract. So you could easily see well over probably 1,000 fish in 1 day being submitted in this tournament. And that's with, projecting out maybe 70 less people. But that's what the fall is like here on the Susquehanna River. Even bad fishermen catch fish in the fall, self-included. You can make mistakes. They can see you. Like, it's just going to be a really good time of year. And at the price point, $100.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy.
It's a no-brainer.
Crazy cheap, what I mean. Yeah.
Right. I just, man, I see what Bill and these guys from Native are doing, and I'm so impressed with it's a daunting task to come on the scene late, right? To be the last trail to pop up. And they are right now. But they never let it affect them. They came out, they got their sponsors, they put out a product that is going to be well liked. It's already well liked by anglers, and they ran with it. And you got good, solid people at the reins. This thing, I mean, it's going nowhere but up, And I really hope that a lot of people come out and support this. And I think coming out here to the Susquehanna in October, it's not going to be humid. It's going to be a little chilly in the morning, but it's going to be so good fishing. So I'm looking forward to it. And, I'm glad that they decided to come here to my river.
Yeah. So. Good call on that one. Bill, I know you're with your family, and I hate taking more time away from them. I know you've been, had you for almost an hour. I wanted to give you a shout out to, all those people that made this happen, sponsors and the other people behind the scenes that have been working with you. So if you want to take a few minutes to go ahead and give them their props, then go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And so a couple things I want to put out there, Armando, just so we can put it out for everyone. Number one, we are going to allow anglers in this event specifically. It's the benefit of running these events individual. We will allow anglers, as long as they're tethered to their kayak, to move through the water off their kayak, right? Make sure you guys read the rules on that specifically and what that entails, but you can wade fish in this event. Another very popular thing is we will be allowing motors in the event. So you will be able to run the motors on the Susquehanna River for this event. Additionally, I want to give a huge shout out. There were two very important people before I get into the sponsors that helped me through this process as we built this. Because, Jake said some stuff about the tournament trail we run down here, but I am based out of Delaware. I want to give a huge shout out to Jake. Jake's been instrumental in helping me with a lot of this information. And I also want to give a shout out to Jeff Little from Torquedo.
Yep.
I've had a great opportunity to talk to Jeff. And I think Jake says it best. He's probably one of the most knowledgeable river people I've ever had the opportunity to talk to. And so Jeff's been able to help me scope some of this information. And with Jeff's partnership, we're also going to do, and anglers will see it out there now. We just got it built in. They will see a side pot. And so the way this side pot will work is it will be in benefit of the river or Susquehanna River Keeper organization. And if you don't know who that is, there's a great write-up on it on the Tourney X page. But what the River Keeper does is they keep our river clean and safe. I think Jeff said it best. They're the bulldog of the river, right?
Yeah.
And so that side pot's going to be a $20 side pot. It's optional. Anglers don't have to sign up for it if they don't. What we'll do is we will pay out 50% of that pot. All the details are there. And then we will also have a huge amount of giveaways for anyone that competes in that side pot. As far as sponsors, I'm going to give a huge shout out, obviously, to Big Adventures. That's Native Watercraft, Liquid Logic, and Bonafide. I mean, without them, we wouldn't be on this podcast right now. I give a huge shout out to Stormy over at Dakota Lithium. He's come in clutch and sent us a bunch of batteries to make sure we have some great things to give away. Ego Fishing, Bending Branches, Yak Attack, all three great companies that stepped up early and wanted to jump in and support. And then there's a lot of companies that support my local series here that also showed a lot of support for this event. Never Lost Gear, Carver Covers and Covercraft, Ducket Fishing. I'm trying to run in the back of my mind through all of them. Save Your Outdoors, Turning Tag, Catch. I'm missing some Yak Attack, and transportation storage solution. All of those companies also sent giveaways for us to give away at this event and jumped in as soon as we brought it to their attention. And so without all those great companies, we wouldn't be here today. So huge thank you to them. And now we just wait. We wait and see what it turns into.
Well, again, congratulations, Bill, on what you've done and what you've been able to accomplish. I mean, I think this is great for the sport, for the growth of the sport. It gives another avenue for tournament anglers, both grassroots, trails to national trails. Anybody can take part of this. It opens up a lot of doors for those that are trying to get new to this, and trying to make some cash and get that feel for a great exciting tournament, because this is going to be every hour this counts. Having the ability to win a tournament or to win money on every hour, it's amazing. And any opportunity to also, if not by size but by quantity of bass, to win money, and that's, I mean, it can't say enough about the concept of this, and I think it's going to be great. Wish you the best moving forward, both for yourself and the tournament. If you do have to promise me you will come to Texas for one of those trails. You have to. I guarantee you get a Lake Fork on that style tournament, you'll get way over 100 entries by far. So keep that in mind.
Well, yeah. Keep your eyes out for 2023.
Yeah, definitely. Bill, thank you so much. We'll let you go. Jake and I will wrap it up. But again, thank you, and thank you for your family for taking the time for letting you take the time to come to the podcast, and enjoy your time over there. Enjoy your vacation. Have a great time.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I can't wait to see everyone there.
Take care.
So can I talk real quick about?
Sure, man. It's all yours, buddy.
So the Susquehanna River Keeper is such an important. It's such an important thing, and in every river, I think every river has a river keeper. But the importance of what we have here with having the river keeper, this person is the person that files legal suits against municipalities, businesses, private entities that are damaging the ecosystem here in the river. The river doesn't have a voice. The river can't stand up and fight for itself, right? So, having this person, this organization, the River Keeper, to put up a fight for our river, it's so important because our river suffers from pollution. Every city, municipality along the river, they most of them here in the Northeast are outdated. They're old, and they have systems that maybe aren't necessarily the greatest. And sometimes they have sewage overflow, or sometimes a company, has a spill and dumps into the river. The river keeper is the person that comes out in defense of the river for that. It's so important that we throw that little bit of extra money towards that side pot, because without that person, what happens to this fishery when my kids' want to fish it? Are there going to be any trophy class, world class smallmouth left? The river keeper cares about all of the entire ecosystem. But for us, we're most concerned about the smallmouth bass. But, that person is the defense. It's the first line and a lot of times last line of defense for the river. It's so important to support them. And I've actually done a couple fundraisers through my Instagram for them. Any little bit of money helps whenever you're trying to fight big corporations that make more than we'll ever have in a lifetime.
No.
But it's really important. And I hope that a lot of people see that for what it is and don't just think it's some, BS little side pot nonsense. It's important. It's so important, because if we want our fisheries to be here for generations beyond us, we need to do our part to take care of them. So I just wanted to say that little piece, because I know that's it's a huge thing that Jeff and I preach, because, of the people that fish this river that have a large enough social media presence, there's a few of us that push that organization, but there's not enough of us. And there's a lot of people that don't even know about the river keeper and what they do. We need to make sure we support that group. So,
no, for real. And Susquehanna is one of the bucket lists. It's on every kayak angler's bucket list. And we need to, we can't take it for granted that's gonna be there. We have to be maintained. It has to be maintained. It has to be protected.
And one thing to that what I'll say about it being a bucket list fishery is that, in 2019, 2020, I think it was, 2020 was a down year for the river, and it still, produced well. When we have downturns on the river, because, you go through life cycles of the river where the spawn might not be great for 1 year, and 5 years from that, it's not, the fishing's not that great. I mean, the river goes up and down. Right now, we're peaking. We're getting up there. Back in the early 90s and stuff like that, it would be nothing to come out in this river and catch 100 fish. I wasn't here then, so I can only go based off of history lessons from people like Jeff Little. But it would be absolutely nothing to come out here and catch 100 smallmouth bass, and majority of them be over 15 inches. Like, you don't have that kind of fishery in many places. I really hope that people that see this as a bucket list fishery see this October tournament as an opportunity to take advantage of it, because at $100, there's not another national trail that's coming to this area for $100. I think the closest one close to it is KBF, but even they're over 100. So I really hope that people take advantage of this opportunity to come here at the absolute best time of the year.
Yeah,
absolute best. So,
yeah, definitely. And for those out there that they're looking to get into tournament scene, this is a great tournament. You know, and right now, there's not. It doesn't have the attention of the national trail anglers, that usually dominate. So if you want to get in on it, do it now, because I think this is something that's sustainable. And I think if the numbers they put up on lakes and areas that are not traditionally known for supporting national trails, and they managed to get those numbers, it's amazing. Imagine what's going to happen when they start putting this tournament, if they can, and if they do decide to do that. But if they start putting this on a Lake Fork, Chickamauga, a Guntersville.
Right.
This Clear Lake in California. It's gonna take off. It could, have the potential to take off. There's a small group of national tournament anglers that are looking for AOY and all that. This is not AOY. This is really
Yeah.
bluegrass tournament.
Well,
If
I
you
mean,
look
let's call it what it is. It's not. There's no AOI. There's no at the end of the year accolades for who the best was. This is money.
yeah,
It's green. It is money. Money. If you like money, if you like to go fishing and make money, this is a tournament for you.
yeah.
Because you can come out here and catch one fish and leave with $1,000.
You can get for one tournament. You can come home with a kayak as long as you got one fish. You'll be eligible for raffle. You can
Right.
win a kayak at the Hobie BOS, but it's at the end of the year, and there's a whole lot, which is great. I'm not hating Hobie BOS. It's great. It's awesome that they're giving out an Outback. Plus, the Angler of the Year gets PA 14 360.
Right.
I think they're giving out 2 Outbacks, something like that. But that's great. I'm not criticizing on them. But for Native to give out 3 kayaks a tournament, one of them is just a random, raffle for anybody that scored a fish. That is awesome. I mean,
It's crazy.
No trail is going to do that. No
Right.
trail.
I mean,
Local or national.
It's pretty impressive what they're come up with, and I'm looking forward to it. So
definitely. Well, Jake, thank you so much for joining us and being my guest host for today. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And I think congratulations on your 3rd place, and looking forward to see what you do in the TOC.
Let's cross our fingers, right? Let's go down to Texas, Louisiana there and catch some big old greenfish.
Yeah, buddy. All right, for those out there listening, thank you for joining us. If you made it this far, remember, if you're going to be on the water, wear your PFDs. If you have a couple of beers or alcohol drinks while you're on the water, please drink responsibly. I can't stress this enough. Make sure you make it back home to your loved ones. Have a great day. Have a great week, everyone. Peace out.
See you guys.